Hi everybody, welcome back to MyFIntelligence. Today I'm here with my partner Kat,
Hello, everyone.
and we have a very special guest from National Bank's independent network, Mr. Hatem Zarouk. Can you start us off with telling us a little bit about yourself, about your background, and what your career path has been like?
I'm in the financial industry. I've been in the financial industry for the last, let's say, 20 years. It's the first job that I got out of university. I grew up in Tunisia, Northern Africa, and I moved to Canada under an exchange program. After I was doing my master's back home, and I was part of a student exchange organization called ISEC. And that's how I actually ended up in Canada, ended up in this industry to start with. And early on, the job was just client service rep, basically just an entry level job. But the opportunity was great. It allowed me to learn about the business, allowed me to learn about the industry, and allowed me to get an understanding of how financial markets work. And obviously, I was lucky to get some extracurriculum activities and took some courses. I'm licensed through the CSI, the Canadian Securities Institute. That kind of gave me a little bit of background. And I always was gravitated towards sales and business development and relationship management. So that's kind of, how I kind of moved from the service side to the sales side. And after that, just basically, I kept developing myself, and I was lucky enough to get promotions along the way. And that's how I ended up today, where I look after the sales and service and relationship management nationally for National Bank Independent Network. And our core business is to provide trading and custody to portfolio managers, investment advisors, to help them manage their clients' assets better. So that's kind of a nutshell.
Maybe can we start off with you telling us a bit about some of the products that you worked with? So when I took a look at your LinkedIn, I saw you mentioned structured notes, liquidity funds. If you could tell us a bit about what those actually are for the students watching who don't really know.
Definitely, the financial industry is like the ocean, right? And the financial products are think of it as like the living species inside that ocean. And depending on the regulation, depending on the country, depending on where you operate, obviously the products differ. So I spent the last probably, I would say, about 18 years in the mutual fund side, the investment management side. The investment management, basically, it's whether it's mutual funds, it's cash accounts, separately managed accounts, which is separate securities, stocks and bonds, and it's all about my role and my organization was on the sales side, where we were in like a B2B business to business type of environment, where it's a wholesaling business where we structure products, we build them together, and based on the client needs, we package them together and we sell them either to whoever is interested in buying them, right? So and that goes from structured products, as you mentioned, because structured product is an investment product with a little bit of a capital markets spin to it. And we have all kind of product depending on the client's needs, right? So you go from GICs to cash, to mutual funds, to separate securities, and to ultra high net worth complicated products where you add a little bit of alternative assets, you add a little bit of hedge funds, depending on the client's need and depending on the client fluency and understanding and risk tolerance, of course, to these specific products. And the last 8 months, I moved divisions. I moved from the asset management side to the trading and custody side. So think of it as I'm in the middle office. Like think of a car, and the division that I'm in at today is kind of the engine of the car, is how the car actually operates. Because today, when you want to make a trade, you want to go and buy a stock or buy a bond or buy a mutual fund. And you go technically, either you buy it through your financial advisor or you buy it through, let's say, a discount brokerage arm. But behind the scene, there's a lot of moving parts. Like in order for that trade actually to show in your account, things behind the scene. There's a lot of technology. There's settlement. Because if I'm buying a security, I am buying it from somebody else. So we need someone to kind of facilitate that exchange of securities. So that's kind of the what I call the engine of the investment business, the back office operation, middle office. So that's kind of where I'm today. National Bank Independent Network, that's our business, is the custody and trading of assets.
Mr. Zarouk, can you tell us, I know when we spoke, I asked you about why would an advisor from RBC buy a product from you? Could you give us a little bit of an insight to that?
That's a very good question. Actually, we get that question a lot. I mean, we always get questions like, why would the national bank guy buy a product from RBC, or from RBC buy a product from Scotia, or from another bank? There's a long answer and a short answer. The short answer is, when you're in the money management area, like if you're managing money for individuals, it's impossible to be excellent at every single asset class. And by that, I mean, there's different asset classes. There is Canadian equities, you have US equities, you have bonds, and even within the bonds environment, there's multiple aspects to it. There's sector investing, whether it's technology or energy. So as I said, it's the ocean, you know. And as a provider, you're not able, it's technically or mathematically impossible to be excellent in all areas, you know, and what happened is, because as an investment advisor, they're managing money for their clients, they want to offer them the best of the best, what exists out there. And that's what you pay your investment advisor for. You pay them so they can do their research and they can find the best product for you, but more importantly, the best product that actually helps you achieve your needs as an individual. And depending on the need, because the needs can differ from either why you're investing. Some people invest to pay for education. Some people invest for a retirement. Some people invest to buy a car, invest to buy a house. So depending on time, depending on your financial situation, then you pick the product that can help you get to where you want to get. And then when you come to select the product selection, or I'll call it manager selection, you want to get the best of the best in that specific area. And that's why the environment in Canada, even in the US, it's very competitive, which is good, because allow different portfolio manager or different banks to compete and to be better for that business. And that's why today, let's say if you're an investment advisor with RBC, yeah, you have access to RBC product that you can have access to them, but you still have access to all other products that exist in the market. And the reason for that is because you want to bring to your client best of breed of these investment solutions. So that's where kind of, you know, where banks, they kind of do business with each other. Insurance companies do the same thing too, because they recognize that you can't be good at everything. You're going to have your core competencies where you can excel. And for the ones that you don't, you just go and kind of hire someone.
A bit of just to follow up on that. So you mentioned that you kind of have to find the best product for your client or the customer. Would that be your job as part of sales to do these sort of, I guess, like analytical portion of the job to see what would be the best fit? Or is that someone's job who's a part of your team?
From a sales side, as a sales professional, our job is obviously yes, it's all of the above. So first of all, you need to understand what the client needs exactly and why they invest. And then you see if you have an ability to basically help them fill that need. And our job on the sales side is all about analytics, about understanding the client needs, about listening, trying to understand what they're trying to achieve. Take all that information, do our homework, come back, okay, Mr. Advisor, I've done my research. There's 5 or 6 products on the market. This is how we compare. We're good here. We're not good here. You know, and and that's how you basically start the conversation. And then you take it, and then the relationship element comes into place, because buying a product itself is not enough, because if you want a product, you want to make sure that your clients are being serviced as well. So there's another element, not just buying the product and move away. Okay, I'm buying the product, but tomorrow, and let's say I have a need, I need something to service that specific client. How is your service agreement, service level agreement? How is your service team? What do we expect? How do I expect to get responses in case I have questions? You know, so this all comes into the equation.
And so once you do all this analysis and once you have finally the products that you think are best for your client, can you tell us how you go about making a presentation for the product pitch? So over the years of working in sales, I'm sure you've picked up many tips to make really compelling presentations and quickly. Can you maybe share some of those tips?
In sales, there is a rule that we live by, you know. The rule that we live by is you want to be able, when you're in discovery meeting, when you're trying to gather all the information, you want to speak 30 to 40% of the time. And often enough, most salespeople, they don't do that. Most salespeople, they have the impression that if they talk the most, That's how they're going to basically close the deal, which is completely wrong in this environment. Why is that? Because the buying process today has changed. The way we used to buy 10 or 5 years, even 3 years ago, it's not the way we buy today, because we have to understand how actually our customer are buying. Because once you understand how your customer are buying, sales becomes a process. And closing the deal becomes a process. And most people focus on the sales process, not on the buying process. And this is a completely different. And today, research has showed us today that most customers, when they make their decisions, especially on a B2B environment, they reach out to the provider at the final stage. They've already did their homework. They already know what they want, because why? Because the information is out there. And this is it's key to understand how actually the buyer thinks and what the need they try and accommodate. And that's where it becomes sales, it becomes a science. Because most people think sales is an art. Yeah, there is an art to it. There's the personality, but at the end of the day, but that's only 20% of it. You know, I've been lucky enough to work with such amazing individuals in sales, and believe it or not, more than half of them are introverts. They're not extroverts. And that tells you something, right? That tells you that has nothing to do with personality, but it does with the process and how they actually manage their business. So going back to understanding the buyer. So now we know that the buyer, they do their research, and they don't rely on us to give them the information, because they want to do their own homework, and they trust only the information that they get either from their peers, and they get it from online reviews, or they get to do research. Like, look at you today, you know, when you try to buy something, when was the last time you walked to a store like, help me pick something up, versus you did your research, you did your reviews, and you go, let's say, a Best Buy, you go to Best Buy, just a final decision. You already know what you want, and you know exactly what product, and you know exactly how much money you made. So we have to be careful. We have to understand how actually and that's what it makes it a little bit trickier, because you need to have a process. And this is the things that we do as a sales professional, is the training now shifts from soft skills, which is still important. We need to build all those hard skills and how you actually understand what's driving them. Like, why are you buying this product? Because it's key. And more importantly is it's key to understand from the buyer what they're looking from the seller. Because this is not a transaction. This is not a transactional relationship only. This is a partnership relationship. It's not like you're buying the product and you're moving on. If you buy a product, let's say, take an example of a mutual fund or any investment strategy, and it doesn't work for that client need. So you expect from the seller to kind of revisit the strategy. Okay, what can we do? What's the course of action? Because it's a relationship type of partnership versus a transaction, right? So so there's lots to it. So key here is it's key for us to understand how the buyer think. What's important to them? That's key. What is important to them? And what need they're trying to address. And then the seller can take all that information, put it all in, come back with a proposal, and then it becomes a negotiation and kind of conversation from there.
This is the end of part 1 of our interview with Mr. Zarouk. If you'd like to keep watching and see the other questions that Sam and I asked him and all the wonderful insights he gave us, please head on over to part 2, which will be up on our website.